Nope, popping back in. All right, we'll try this again. One more time. Joey, can you hear me?
Hey, I can. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Great technology sometimes, right? We
yeah.
Get this right. How you doing, partner?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good. Really enjoyed your piece on Rob Higgins and Tampa Sports Commission and all the things that he has done there. That was I found that on Facebook. I don't know where else it is. I'm going to repost it later on. That was really well done and voluminous, I might add.
Yeah, you can say that again.
When's the second book come about?
Yeah, it was lengthy. But the one thing when you write something, the one thing you don't want people to say is, "Man, that thing was long," which it was, no question. But you wanted to have some flow and you wanted it to be enjoyable.
Oh, it was fantastic. It was fantastic.
Yeah, but it definitely was long because if you try to incorporate all the people that need to speak on Rob, it's going to be long. That's just the way it is. It's pretty much everyone in town.
That's the beauty of modern day media too. Back in the day, you wouldn't have been able to write something like that.
Have no prayer to get that in the newspaper. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. So
it's worth the time. It's worth the read, every bit of it. Yeah.
But it was really fun. It's like you write a long thing, and sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, that's like that killed me. But this was so much fun to do because talking to all the people, they all had wonderful things to say about Rob and their experiences with Rob. So it was a joy to interview them and put this all together.
Well, he's kind of your boss now at USF as the CEO of athletics. So, I mean, you've seen USF for the years. You have the great perspective of having covered it and seen the ebbs and flows of their athletic department. And what do you think? Like, what can Rob bring to this that can kind of put USF over the top and make them a priority in this town?
I think Rob will be the guy that will position USF properly in this marketplace, which has always been a bit of a struggle over the years in a professional town for USF to maximize its resources. And speaking of resources, I think Rob will do a great job of finding more resources to fund.
Oh dear. Lost him again.
Internet Wi-Fi.
Waiting patiently to see if he reappears magically.
Oh, he's gone.
Did not. Maybe he'll come back.
I'm sure he hung up and he's probably going to pop right back in.
All right, we'll try it. We'll wait patiently for that.
Yeah, there he is.
There he is. You're back.
Sorry about that.
You're back.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So as we were talking, Rob is the man to get this done. And listen, the stadium, obviously, it's been funded, but you got to build it. It's not easy. So he's got to, and while he does all this other stuff, he's got to kind of shepherd that as well, right?
Yeah, he does. That's well underway, and he just has to bring it to the finish line. And I think it's more of an overseeing kind of thing. Most of the heavy lifting has been done. The plans have been made. So it's just a matter of shepherding it through. Obviously, you want as many people giving resources to the project as you can, so he can probably help with that. And there's going to be people that want these premium seats, and Rob will find those people and maximize that. So I think all of that will just be enhanced. Again, it's as Rob said in his press conference, the potential word has been used forever, for decades now with USF athletics, and but Rob will find a way to make that potential into reality, I think.
Now the new P word is production, right?
Yes.
Get it done.
Yes.
Get it done.
Yep.
That's expected now. And I think that's great. All right. So let's talk about this football game. USF taking on Charlotte, a team they have boat raced twice. I kind of went through the numbers there. 34.5 points per game that they've scored victory margin wise. What do you expect from this team, the USF and Charlotte, on Friday night?
Well, USF is a solid favorite, and I would expect if USF plays its game, it will win comfortably. Charlotte has a pretty good new coach named Tim Aubin, who comes from Ohio University, and I think he'll be a guy that'll build this program up, but not this week. It's a ways away. They've lost their starting quarterback, but I think Charlotte. A few years ago, they actually looked like a team that was on its way up, and was in a bowl game, and then it sort of flatlined for a bit. So they're in a big town. I've got some resources there. That they should be a decent football team, but it's going to take some building. But yeah, you're right. USF has boat raced them 2 years in a row. Last year they set a record for rushing in a game, 425 yards. So if USF plays its game, plays to its potential, it shouldn't have a problem winning this game. Now, moving forward, it's interesting because the American is off to a really good start as a league. Some really good, impressive wins. The fascinating thing is there are 3 teams remaining in the league who are undefeated: North Texas,
Really
Memphis, and Navy. Ironically, USF plays all 3, and all are on the road.
Yep.
So the thinking of a couple of weeks ago that oh my gosh, this college football playoff thing is going to happen. Well, maybe it could, but it ain't going to happen unless USF earns it. So it's going to be a bit of a rugged road to get there. But they're going to have to earn it, which is the way to do it. But it's a pretty good league, and we haven't even talked about Tulane, who may be the best team in the league. They lost to Ole Miss. So you got 4 or 5 really good teams in this league, it looks like, and maybe a couple others on the outside. So it'll be really fun once conference play gets going strong.
Yeah, I guess the silver lining to that is Joey, that we're going to kind of beat each other up. You don't have to go undefeated, I think, in this league. There's too many good teams. So you might have grace of losing one to get to the championship game, right? So this ain't going to be the one.
No, this is going to be the one. But yeah, it's going to be interesting because, I think USF, I think Memphis, I think Tulane, I think those 3 for sure. Most people would agree that those are legitimate teams that could legitimately be in the title game. Navy, maybe. I mean, perhaps. Not sure about North Texas yet. They're off to a great start. But again, we're talking 4 or 5 teams, and that's a great conversation, and that's probably the way it is with most leagues. 4 or 5 teams realistically can win the title. So the American has a good balance to it, and off to some good non-conference results. So it's going to be fun the rest of the way, and USF is going to have some interesting games on its schedule for sure.
Joey Johnston joining us here, USF Bulls sideline reporter. Byron Brown is off to a really good start, and the numbers were just great last game. They got explosives all over the place. I think they set a record for touchdowns over 20 yards. What do you think about Byron coming back from the broken leg? Obviously they played very tough competition. They have 2 top 25 wins. What have you seen from him this year that you really like in his game?
I think he's off to a good start. I mean, we weren't sure what we were going to see early in the season with him coming back, but I think he's had a really fine 4-game run here. Had a long stretch of passes without an interception before that finally got snapped. He's making pretty good decisions. He's had some games where he's run the ball very impressively. Didn't happen the last game so much, but he has definitely shown he's a guy that can get you 80 to 100 yards if the game plan calls for that. He's got great weapons. I mean, he really does. I love the receivers. Keyshawn Singleton is a star. Chaz Nimrod, the transfer from Tennessee, is averaging 26 yards a catch. He looks like one of the country's best deep threats so far. They've got some decent tight ends. So Byron's got some tools to work with for sure. And I think, interestingly, with Friday night game this week, Friday night game next week, the country will get a chance to really lock in on Byron and see who he is. It's, people have heard about USF around the country, particularly when they beat Boise and Florida. And here's a chance to really watch this team because sometimes on Saturday, as it's so busy,
right?
It's hard to lock into a game or watch a team very carefully. But here's a chance for USF to get some really good exposure on ESPN for sure.
Yeah, I love that. Gives me a chance to. I'll be watching it up in watering hole somewhere in Tallahassee, getting ready for FSU Miami. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. They get the whole stage to themselves. And Jalen Shuler and Mac Harris have the 2 inside linebackers have been tremendous. And I think this Bulls defense is really kind of the secret sauce. Obviously, USF's going to score points this year, but this defense has a chance to be good. And when you're playing in Navy and Memphis and North Texas, I mean, you got that. I think is the secret to them winning something big this year. Talk a little bit about this defense and what you've seen.
Yeah, no question, and that was the biggest difference that we saw at Boise and then at Florida right off the bat was their ability to stop the other team, which we hadn't seen much of in the previous 2 years. And when you look at some of the really successful USF teams over the years, the defense was really, really the key to that. The George Selvies of the world and the Augie Sanchez's and all the guys they've had over the years. They certainly have had their share of good quarterbacks and playmakers, but man, the defense, particularly in the early parts of this program, the first 10 years or so, it was really about these really tough, grinding defensive guys that would hit you and hit you hard. And that was the USF identity, really. And now it looks like they've finally gotten back to that. And that you're right, that is the thing that has to put them over the top. And if they are to win a championship, it's going to be defensive driven, I believe, even over their ability to score points.
Yeah, quick little note on that. The defense has produced 7 turnovers this year and a turnover in 12 straight games. That's tied for second longest streak in FBS, and that's a huge key when you're playing, especially on the road against these good teams. They're going to have to, and they've come through this road this early season relatively injury free. Right, we haven't had any huge injuries, especially up front. That's what I was really concerned about.
Yes,
against Miami and Florida, losing some offensive and defensive linemen where you're thin. Obviously, it's hard to get depth. So we're in good shape up front.
Yeah, and here's the interesting note on that. As you mentioned, I do the sideline reporting, and part of that is to keep up with the injuries. Scott Wood is the trainer, the guy I usually go to for word on anybody that's banged up. I haven't talked to Scott once yet this year. I haven't had to talk to him once, which is I've never had that happen as long as I've done this. So they've had Derek Bowman, who was hurt before the season, who is going to get back in the lineup this week. But other than that, really nothing to speak of. So they've been incredibly lucky on the health front for sure.
All right, so what kind of crowd are we expecting? Let's see if we can pump it up a little bit on this Friday night. Let's, if you don't have a high school that you're betrothed to, as I said, let's go out there and support the Bulls. Pretty easy to get tickets. What can we expect?
Yeah, let's hope it's in the, certainly the 30s minimum, maybe even pushing higher than that. As you mentioned, hopefully it'll be a good weather night, Friday night, chance to see some college football under the lights. So, let's hope the crowd will respond to that. The previous game was Saturday at noon, which is a hard sell sometimes in the weather for folks. So here's a chance to maybe get out and be comfortable and enjoy yourself on a Friday night. So let's hope for the best on the crowd, but certainly the way they've started the season, they're deserving of a crowd and attention. Big time. They're 3-1, two top 25 wins. It's Friday night. Get out there and support these Bulls. It's a great atmosphere. Raymond James Stadium, as you said, it's hard to get in Bucks games and very expensive. A lot easier for USF. Oh, we lost Joey. All right. We'll call it a day on that. Thank you, Joey. Appreciate you, partner.